What if I told you that some people in history were so mind-blowingly rich that all of today's billionaires combined might not even compare? Forget what you know about modern wealth. We're not talking about Elon Musk. We're not talking about Jeff Bezos. Today, we're re-embarking on an epic journey through time to uncover the 10 richest people who ever lived. Some of these fortunes are so vast, they're almost impossible to comprehend. So, buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride through empires, innovation, and unimaginable wealth. Let's start our countdown at number 10 with a name you'll definitely recognize: Henry Ford. This American innovator didn't just build cars. He completely revolutionized the world with the concept of mass production. Before Ford, cars were a luxury, reserved for the superrich. He turned them into an everyday necessity, fundamentally changing modern life, the economy, and even the layout of our cities. At the peak of his success with the Ford Motor Company, his wealth, when adjusted for today's inflation, would be worth around a staggering $200 billion. He didn't just build an empire. He built the modern industrial world as we know it. Moving further back in time to number 9, we find William the Conqueror. In the year 1066, this Norman duke invaded and conquered England. What did that mean for his bank account? Well, after his victory, William essentially owned all the land in the entire country. Every farm, every forest, every town. He granted large estates to his loyal nobles, but they all ultimately answered to him. His absolute power over taxes, land, and resources made him one of the wealthiest and most powerful kings in history. His fortune, derived from an entire nation's output, was immense, solidifying his spot on our list. For number 8, we travel to early 20th century India to meet Nizam Osman Ali Khan, the ruler of Hyderabad. In the 1930s, he wasn't just a regional ruler. He was widely considered the richest man alive. His wealth came from a variety of sources, but most famously, from massive diamond mines. To give you an idea of his casual relationship with insane riches, he reportedly used the Jacob diamond, a priceless gem the size of an ostrich egg, as a simple paperweight on his desk. His personal fortune, including a legendary collection of jewels, is estimated to be worth around $230 billion in today's dollars. At number 7, we have another monarch of immense wealth, Tsar Nicholas II of Russia. As the last emperor of the Russian Empire, he wasn't just a political leader. He was the absolute ruler of a vast and resource-rich domain. The Romanov dynasty controlled immense lands, opulent palaces filled with treasure, and a significant portion of the country's industrial and natural resources. Before the revolution that ended his reign, his personal wealth was estimated to be the equivalent of $300 billion today. He was, without a doubt, one of the richest monarchs the world has ever seen. Coming in at number 6 is a true rags-to-riches story. Andrew Carnegie, a poor Scottish immigrant who arrived in the United States with almost nothing. Carnegie would go on to build a colossal empire in the steel industry. His company, Carnegie Steel, dominated the market and fueled America's rapid industrial expansion. But what makes Carnegie's story even more remarkable is what he did with his wealth. He became one of history's greatest philanthropists, famously declaring that the man who dies thus rich dies disgraced. He gave away most of his fortune to build libraries, schools, and cultural institutions. At its peak, his wealth would have been worth over $310 billion today. Now, we enter the realm of the truly legendary fortunes. At number 5, we have the richest man of the modern era, John D. Rockefeller. His name is synonymous with wealth. Through his company, Standard Oil, Rockefeller ruthlessly and brilliantly managed to control nearly 90% of the entire U.S. oil industry. He dominated everything from drilling and refining to transportation and sales. His monopoly gave him an unprecedented level of financial power. When adjusted for inflation and his share of the national economy at the time, Rockefeller's peak fortune reaches an incredible $340 billion, setting a benchmark for wealth that remains a topic of awe and study. For number 4, we journey to the 16th century Mughal Empire to meet Akbar the Great. He wasn't just a conqueror, he was a brilliant administrator and a patron of culture and science. During his long and prosperous reign, the Indian subcontinent was an economic powerhouse, responsible for over 20% of the entire world's economic output. Akbar ruled over one of the richest empires in history, governing with a sophisticated system of taxation and promoting trade that brought immense wealth into his treasury. His empire's riches, under his direct control, place him among the wealthiest individuals to have ever lived. At number 3, we have a name that echoes through history with power and fear: Genghis Khan, the founder of the Mongol Empire. He created the largest contiguous land empire the world has ever seen, stretching from Asia to Europe. Now, Genghis Khan was different from the others on this list. He didn't hoard personal treasure or build lavish palaces for himself. His wealth wasn't in gold, but in absolute power. He controlled the Silk Road and other major trade routes, effectively controlling the flow of goods and wealth across continents. His influence and control over such a vast portion of the world's economy were worth trillions in today's terms, making his power a unique and immeasurable form of wealth. We're now at the top 2, where the numbers become almost surreal. At number 2 is Augustus Caesar, the first emperor of the Roman Empire. After the fall of the Republic, Augustus consolidated power like no one before him. At its height, the Roman Empire accounted for about a quarter of the entire world's economic output. And Augustus, he personally owned a significant chunk of that, including the entire country of Egypt. His personal fortune was so vast that it was estimated to be equal to 1/5 of his empire's economy. In today's value, his wealth could exceed an astronomical $4 trillion. He wasn't just an emperor. He was the CEO of the ancient world. And finally, at number 1, we have the richest person who has ever lived, Mansa Musa, the emperor of the Mali Empire in the 14th century. His West African kingdom was the world's largest producer of gold at a time when gold was in extremely high demand. His wealth was so immense, so legendary, that it's difficult to even put a number on it. The best word to describe it is immeasurable. The most famous story about him is his pilgrimage to Mecca. He traveled with a caravan of tens of thousands of soldiers and civilians, and hundreds of camels, each carrying hundreds of pounds of pure gold. Along his journey, he gave away so much gold in cities like Cairo that he single-handedly caused mass inflation and crashed the local economy for over a decade. Imagine being so rich that you can destroy an entire country's economy just by being generous. That was Mansa Musa, a man whose wealth was truly beyond comprehension. From industrialists and kings to emperors and conquerors, these 10 figures controlled fortunes that shaped the course of history. Their stories remind us that wealth, in its most extreme form, has always been about more than just money. It's about power, influence, and the ability to change the world. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this journey through history as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into incredible topics. See you next time.